What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I'm back with a playoff edition of the NBA ConTENders. My top 10 plays of the day for Monday, August, I have no idea, 17th. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. These playoff slates look pretty solid, so we're going to stick with NBA for right now. Luka Doncic is on the outside looking in. Who will be the top 10 plays for today? It is time to find out. All right, coming in number 10, it's got to be Donovan Mitchell. He's 6th on FanDuel. That $7,300 price tag looks great. A little bit more expensive on DraftKings, $8K. I'm giving him the whole Megillah. 40 projected minutes. No Mike Conley. He's out for the birth of his son, I believe. I think it was a boy. It's not important. Anyway, Donovan Mitchell is going to soak up every single minute he can. If Utah wants to win this series, he's going to need to be out there a ton. It is a bit of a pace down spot for Utah, so be cognizant of that. Mitchell is probably more of a star in name than he is from a DFS perspective. I have him as basically like a just north of a 1 fantasy point per minute guy. That's where he's been in the bubble. I expect that to continue, but the shots are what you're looking for. I've got him in for 30% usage. Wouldn't be surprised to see that number climb. 26 raw points. You want to be here because of the ceiling. DraftKings might make it a little harder. You need 57 points for the GPP goal. That's kind of high, but on FanDuel, feel free to jam him in at shooting guard. 7,300, just not expensive enough. Now, coming in number 9, 8,100 on both sites. It's got to be Paul George. I'm expecting the Clippers to slowly start to consolidate. I'm giving Paul George 38 minutes here. GPP goal, somewhere around 55, depending on which site. 1.45x multiplier on SuperDraft is insane. Number 2 overall play there. It's a pace-up spot against Dallas. I think the Clippers are simply just the better team, so this stands to reason that I like Paul George a little bit more. He hits his GPP goal 20% of the time. That's what I'm looking for. Those numbers look great. I'm going to have a lot of Paul George. He's just going to be a steady function of my lineups on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Coming in number 8, Pascal Siakam. He's 7th on FanDuel, 9th on DK. Got a really nice multiplier on SuperDraft. Mid-7s for this guy is just too low. They get a date with Brooklyn. Obviously, about as good of a matchup as you can possibly have. I'm giving him 38 minutes. I think that the Raptors just simply do work with Brooklyn. There's not enough depth for the Nets to give me any worry. There's not even really enough starters to give me any worry. Pace up spot for Toronto. Siakam hasn't looked great in the bubble. I think that changes now that these games matter a little bit more. Toronto didn't exactly have a ton to play for, so I think Siakam was probably taking the foot off the gas a little bit. We're talking about a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy. He needs just over 50 fantasy points. As of right now, I prefer Siakam to Paul George, to Donovan Mitchell, and that's why he's number 8. Number 7, we're switching locker rooms. We're leaving Toronto and we're going to Brooklyn. Give me Caris Levert. Now, on FanDuel, it's kind of tricky. He's 8,300. That's a big tag. 7,600 on DraftKings, though. That one stands out. Levert is this entire team. He and Jared Allen, I guess. Very different players, obviously. I'm giving him 36 minutes. He's going to be the guy that needs to carry this team from an offensive perspective. 33% usage, projected for 24.5 points, 6.5 assists, just north of 5 rebounds. Little bit of a pace-up spot. And Levert's been good in the bubble, 1.3 fantasy points per minute. This is a fantastic opportunity. Now, the Raptors are going to send everything his way. You take Caris Levert out of the game, the Nets probably aren't going to be able to keep up. But out of the gate, I have to go to him. There are way too many shots for Caris Levert to take for me to avoid him in a GPP. Particularly on DraftKings, he is as close to a must-play as you can get for someone priced relatively close to what they should be. Okay, coming in number 6. He's actually 5th for me on FanDuel at 6,100. It's Jamal Murray. Not having Mike Conley should be a big-time benefit for Murray. It's just another functional NBA player out on the floor. So another step in the right direction for Murray. That you might get a more Emmanuel Mudiay or Jamal Crawford guarding you. Those are great things if you're trying to be an offensive player. 6,100 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DK, 1.5x multiplier on SuperDraft. Giving him the full 36 minutes. This is above average usage. I can't talk. Usage. The pace isn't great. You still have Rudy Gobert patrolling the paint, but as a mid-sixes guy, a guy that should play this kind of minutes that can get super hot offensively, Jamal Murray is like the perfect guy for GPPs. A mid-40s GPP goal looks great. This is the kind of guy I want given that salary. He works in balanced. He works in a stars and scrubs build if you need some guy in the middle. I can't imagine not wanting to have Jamal Murray. I think I said that before for probably all four guys, but I mean it this time. Jamal Murray, he's the dude. Okay, coming up in number 5, and this one's wild. It's Joel Embiid. 10-2 on DraftKings. Feels way too expensive. 8,500 on FanDuel. Does not feel expensive at all. You've got to be playing Joel Embiid on FanDuel. Hits that goal 31% of the time. DraftKings, that's a pretty tough spot. You're going to be paying up to be contrarian. I think that price tag is going to limit his ownership a bit. You got to go to Embiid on FanDuel, especially in like a cash game scenario. I have him projected for 25 and 13. If he blocks a couple shots, it could get nuts. Boston's a good matchup for Embiid in that Daniel Tice is not going to be much of an issue for him. Whether they run out Enes Kanter or the Time Lord, I don't think it matters all that much. The only thing that's going to slow Joel Embiid down is Joel Embiid. I've got him in for 34 minutes. He's been a 1.6 guy during the bubble. That's even higher than what he normally is. You just can't avoid him. Embiid has to do everything for Philly for this series to be a series. For them to have any chance whatsoever, we're going to need to get the best of Joel Embiid. I'm betting on him here. Okay, if you're looking for a value play, the guy that I'm looking at, mostly on DraftKings, OG Anunoby. He's only 3,500 there. That's kind of a crazy price tag to me. Given the way value sets up on this playoff slate, he only needs just north of 30 fantasy points to hit his goal. I assume he plays north of 30 minutes. Obviously not much of a scorer. The rebounds will be helpful, but this is a low usage guy. You're hoping to pick up some stats on the peripheral, and getting turnovers, so steals, for someone like OG against a team like Brooklyn that's not really running out a ton of NBA players, I love the fit. He's not going to wow you with per minute numbers. He's like a 0.75 guy. I'm betting on a low-priced forward that could potentially disrupt the game defensively. It's a tricky spot for sure, and 4,300 on FanDuel isn't the best price in the world, but still viable. DraftKings is the spot you have to have. Anunoby works as a perfect value option. Okay, you saw Luka Doncic on the outside looking in. If I'm going to someone from Dallas, it's my number 3 overall guy, Kristaps Porzingis, 8,600 on FanDuel, where he's a power forward. Keep that in mind. Excellent pairing with Joel Embiid at center, or 8,300 as a center on DK, just shy of 60 as a GPP goal. He's going to play a ton of minutes. The real tricky part is if he's going to be fouling as much as he was. Had a lot of trouble picking up fouls during the bubble. I hope he reins that in a bit. I love this spot for him against the Clippers. The Clippers, not that anybody really has like a Porzingis stopper, so to speak, but it's certainly not Zubac, and guys like Marcus Morris don't think are long enough to get a good contest outside the three-point line. 38 minutes, we're talking 23 and 11, blocking a bunch of shots. I'm really excited to see what Kristaps Porzingis can do in the NBA playoffs. This is a fantastic opportunity for him. I don't love Dallas's chances against the Clippers, but I do love Porzingis as a DFS option. Well, this one's kind of a no-brainer. I'm honestly a little surprised he didn't show up at number 1, but number 2 overall, 3 on FanDuel and 1 on DraftKings. It's just got to be Jordan Clarkson. 4,400 on FanDuel, 38 on DK is what really stands out. That's a 39% GPP goal. He only needs to get 33. He's going to play huge minutes. He's going to shoot a ton. No Mike Conley means these minutes are about as safe as it gets, barring a crazy blowout. They need that shot creation. He'll be great in the 8 to 10 minutes that Donovan Mitchell isn't on the floor. You definitely want to have one of those guys on at all times. He's like a 0.9 guy, but what you're looking for is streaks and getting hot. If Clarkson starts cooking, he is not going to slow down. It's going to be full on bombs away for Jordan Clarkson. I mean, probably no matter what. It's not like he's above a 4 for 19 game, but you just have to go here. He's going to be ultra popular, especially on DraftKings. Everyone will already be there, but on a playoff slate, value is a little bit different. There aren't a lot of flyers to go around. Sometimes you just have to eat the chalk and eat the value, and this is one of those spots. It's really hard for Jordan Clarkson on DraftKings at 3,800 to go wrong in any way. And finally, the number one contender for today. I'm repping it. Well, I'm repping Dikembe Mutombo, but it's still a Nuggets shirt. It's got to be Nikola Jokic. 8,600 on FanDuel, 8,700 on DraftKings, a 1.25x multiplier on SuperDraft. Look, you're looking for 60. It's playoff time now, and I think Jokic is going to do everything he can for the Nuggets. It's really important that Gary Harris and Will Barton are out. That's especially for Will Barton. It's like a lot of secondary shot creation, so I think Jokic needs to step that up a little bit. He just needs to be more involved across the board, and I think we see that now in the playoffs. 38 minutes, 23 points, 11 rebounds, just shy of 9 assists. This guy does everything. He can put up really big triple-double numbers that shock the league. There aren't a lot of guys that can fill out that stat line like Nikola Jokic. I love the big minutes. I love the ability to pull Rudy Gobert away from the rim. We're talking 1.3 to 1.4 fantasy points per minute. Mid-eights price tag. I'm not going a different direction. I hope he's there the entire day, mostly because he's one of my favorite players in the league. You got to get him in your lineups, everybody. Nikola Jokic, number one. All right, everybody, that will do it. Those are my top 10 plays, my contenders for Monday, August 17th. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when it goes live. I'll be in our premium Slack all day, keeping an eye on this, and I'll have updates on my Twitter. So go to @Josh Engleman to find the updates to the list. I'll put out a separate top 10 for FanDuel, DK, and SuperDraft throughout the day if we get any additional news. Best of luck, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with another NBA DFS Contenders video.